I'm now going to start looking at the instruction. Up until now, I was just basically going through explaining what these were: support steps, upper resistance levels, resistance steps, and downward support levels, and explaining this part of it here. That's what I was explaining. Now I'm going to get into the rules of what we do with these and when we use them and when we don't. The first thing I want to point out is that we're going to be starting with the bullish direction, and the easiest way is to just follow the examples and everything will make sense once we've moved along a little bit. So the first thing that we read is that I'm going to skip to number 2 just so that you understand this. I'm going to omit this here because it doesn't make sense until we've seen one example. So I'm going to skip number 1 and go straight to number 2, which is locate the upward resistance level on a bullish direction. Okay, so we're locating the upward resistance level, and as defined, we're dealing with the S&P. Okay, so I've changed my minimum bar requirement to 60, and that's what we're doing. So at this point in time, we have a resistance step that has just been broken, and our posture is now bullish. Okay, and our stop for that bullish posture is all the way down here where this green line is. Okay, so the first thing that we do as per the rules, number 2, really from there, we must locate the upward resistance level. Now the upward resistance level is defined as the first new anchor to form for a minimum bar requirement, and then we mark it as the URL. The URL cannot be lowered or changed until rule number 3 or 4 are satisfied. So the first thing we do to find the URL, our minimum bar requirement is 60. We want an anchor to be untouched for 60 bars. And it looks like this here touches it on the 60th bar. Yes, it looks like it's 60. Actually, okay, let's just assume that it doesn't touch it. Okay, just so by way of illustration. At this point in time, we have identified the first URL. Okay, and we read on. We redraw the support step when one of two things happen. Right now the support step is all the way down here. Once we've found our first URL and this support step has not been broken, because if it is, we reverse to bearish. Once we found our first URL, it becomes of interest to us. We mark it, and it cannot be changed until 3 or 4 are satisfied. Rule number 3 says that we can redraw our SS in one of two ways, formula A or B. Formula A is once the URL is broken by one close. So the URL is here, and our URL is broken. So now it gives us permission to redraw the SS. And to redraw the SS, we go to rule 3.1b. Mark the lowest low between the bar that makes the URL and the break of the URL. The bar that makes the URL is there. The break of the URL is there. The lowest anchor is that one. That is our new SS level, as evidenced over here. And we start over, and we now look again back to number 1. Support step, take the most recent low between the reversible, well, we've already redrawn the support step. Now we have to locate the resistance, upper resistance level. So here's our bar, minimum bar requirement. This is not a level because it's broken. Same for this. Eventually, we, at this point in time, recognize that our first URL has been established, and we wait for it for either rule number 3 or number 4 to occur before we can do anything with it. And rule number 3 is that it gets broken. Rule number 4 is that the SS itself gets broken. Well, we know that rule number 4 doesn't happen. Rather, number 3 happens. And it is broken. The URL is broken, which means we can raise the step by marking the lowest low between the bar that makes the URL and the bar that breaks the URL. The make, the break, the lowest, that's our new level. We move on. We continue looking for a URL. The first one happens over here. I've marked it. It gets broken here. So we mark the lowest between the start and the break. There it is. There's our support, and we continue to move on. And that's basically how we draw our support steps. We look for URLs when they're broken. Now the next time the URL is broken or is formed is all the way up top here, and it looks like eventually it's broken over here. Okay, now we take the first URL and we keep it. We do not change it. That is one of the conditions. First new URL to form for at least 40 bars, or in this case 60, and we cannot be loaded or changed until 3 or 4 are satisfied. 3 means that either this line is broken and that's it. So it doesn't get broken to this point, or alternatively price action moves away from the support by that amount. That's when we can redraw SS. Okay, that's it for now.